The emergency calls started coming in just minutes after the shots were fired at around 10:15 last night.
At the Walmart, 16-year-old male is conscious, is breathing, was a gunshot wound. Occurred now. There is serious bleeding.
When officers arrived at the Chesapeake Walmart, they quickly realized that they were dealing with a mass shooting incident.
6 people have died in yet another mass shooting this week alone. And with the way things have been going, 2022 is a record-breaking year when it comes to gun violence. I'll tell you the numbers and statistics in just a moment. But first, the details of this shooting, which took place at a Walmart in Chesapeake, Virginia. Now, the gunman appears to have turned the gun onto himself. He took his own life, which means the total number of deaths is 7. But in terms of the number of victims he shot and killed, 6 people. So I'm sorry. Yeah, 6 people so far have been reported. It's reported that they have died as a result. Now, officers were dispatched to an active threat situation, according to CBS News, at the Walmart Supercenter at 10:12 p.m. local time. Keep in mind, the stores are super busy with people shopping for Thanksgiving. Officers were on the scene within 2 minutes, entered the store 2 minutes after that, and within just about an hour, they had cleared the store and located all of the victims. Now, there is still a lack of clarity in regard to the identities of all the victims, but we do know about 2 of them at least at the moment. 2 victims and the gunman were found dead in the store's break room, city officials said Wednesday afternoon. Another victim was found dead toward the front of the store. 3 died at area hospitals. At least 6 other people were receiving treatment at hospitals, and 1 was in critical condition. So there's still a possibility, assuming that the individual in critical condition doesn't improve, there's still some possibility that there could be yet another victim, another person who dies as a result of yet another mass shooting, this time again in Chesapeake, Virginia. Now, authorities again believe that he took his own life after opening fire and killing 6 people. They also say that he had a pistol on him. That is what they found at the scene. Walmart also confirmed that the individual, the suspect here, the person who opened fire, was a Walmart night shift manager. So he had been working at that Walmart since 2010. And Walmart did release a statement about that, stating, quote, "The alleged shooter has been identified as Andre Big. We can confirm that he was a Walmart associate. Andre's position with the company was overnight team lead, and he's been employed with us since 2010. Now, what's interesting about what we're hearing from his coworkers is that he seemed to, be mercurial at best and threatening at worst. So let me give you their statements so you can get an understanding of how coworkers actually felt about this guy. One person says this, he said a lot of disturbing things, said Donia Pirolu, who said she was in the employee break room when Bing entered and unexpectedly opened fire. Bing came in, shot 3 of my friends before I took off running, she said. Half of us didn't believe it was real until some of us saw all the blood on the floor. And just think about how incredibly traumatic that is. So that's one employee just explaining what she had experienced during this mass shooting. But another one of his former coworkers who actually worked at this particular Walmart between 2015 and 2018 said that he seemed to be a loner and he also seemed to have some paranoid thoughts. He was always saying the government was watching him. He didn't like social media. Same, but that doesn't encourage me to open fire and kill innocent people, but let me continue. He didn't like social media and he kept black tape on his phone camera. Everyone always thought something was wrong with him. Yeah, look, inevitably when these mass shootings happen, there's some contingent of the right wing that wants to pivot away from any discussion about gun legislation. So they'll start talking about why didn't anyone say something? If he was suspicious, why didn't anyone say something? But so far, he was suspicious of the government, same. He put tape on his iPhone camera, which considering the surveillance that takes place in this country by corporations and the government, I don't think that's a crazy idea. And he didn't like social media. Seems like he just didn't want to be surveilled. So far, I'm not hearing anything too suspicious about him, but let's continue. Joshua Johnson, who worked as maintenance worker at the store until 2019, also told CNN Bing had previously issued ominous threats. There we go. If he ever lost his job. He said if he ever got fired from his job, he would retaliate and people would remember who he was. Now, I want to be clear that we still do not know what the motive is. This investigation is ongoing, and I'm sure that in coming days, we're gonna learn more details about the gunman. I'm sure we're gonna learn more details about, maybe even his political views, whatever it is. But as of yet, we have not really heard much from the authorities in regard to what the possible motives are. It's also worth noting, by the way, that gun violence is at a record high in this country this year. I'm not saying that. The stats are saying that. So for all of the crime deniers, just sit down, take a deep breath, and get a load of the statistics I'm about to read you. Because are we gonna do anything about this? Anyway, according to data compiled by the Gun Violence Archive, there have been more than 600 mass shootings in the United States this year, with at least 36 resulting in fatalities. A criminologist at Northeastern University in Boston, his name's Alan Fox, who has compiled data on shootings in the US for decades, reported the same figure, which he said had made 2022 a record year for such attacks, even prior to the incident at the Walmart in Chesapeake. Wow, he must be he must be a propagandist. Anyone who draws attention to record violence in the country is clearly a cop. Clearly, we should hide this. We should hide this because God forbid it stands in the way of whatever nonprofit criminal justice reform organizations are getting involved in. So let's just turn a blind eye to this, right? I've been studying mass killings for over 40 years, and I am quite confident that there has never been a year where we've had so many. So gun violence is part of the crime wave that for some reason, some portion of the country wants to pretend like is not happening. And it's driving me crazy because it is happening. Innocent people are dying. Innocent people are being assaulted. Innocent people are being raped. So when you are lucky enough to live in a state that's somewhat sane when it comes to gun policy, you should probably enforce those gun laws, right? So if you're concerned about gun violence, if you want to keep the community safe, someone who gets caught committing a crime with an illegal gun should probably face consequences, right? For being in possession of that illegal weapon as they're committing a crime. But in LA, that's considered a prosecutorial enhancement. And our prosecutor here doesn't like that. So illegal gun charges just kind of fall by the wayside in a state that's supposed to proudly brag about its gun legislation and gun laws. Okay, but I'm not done yet because there's more to this story. I know I'm being very critical toward the far left on some of their insane policies when it comes to violent crime. But I'm gonna go to the right now. And it's a point that we've made on the show a million times. Glenn Youngkin is the Republican governor of Virginia. And you know what he did? He immediately started talking about the need for mental health care. We've got a real problem with mental health in this country. We really do. We really do. Now, if Republicans have an opportunity to vote in favor of legislation that would appropriate the necessary funding for mental health in this country, you know what they do? They vote against it. The last time the House of Representatives had the chance to vote on legislation that would fund mental health care in this country, only one Republican voted yes. One. So it's abundantly clear that the whole mental health talking point that they love to roll out immediately after a mass shooting is just empty talking points. That's all it is. They don't care. They just want you to move away from any discussion about necessary gun legislation. That's what they want. That's why they mention mental health care. But when push comes to shove, they don't care about mental health at all. They don't care about the endless occurrences of mass shootings and gun violence in this country. And by the way, I mean, look, I hate that I have to add this caveat, but I'll add the caveat. I am a proponent of law-abiding citizens owning guns for self-defense, for hunting. I have one for self-defense. I just do. I'm responsible with it. I'm not against firearms, and I do believe that our Constitution provides some protections for law-abiding citizens, to own these weapons. But at the same time, when you have all these loopholes that allow for individuals to buy these firearms without having to undergo a federal background check, loopholes like the gun show loophole, things like that, sales between private sellers, private individuals. Why do we allow those loopholes to stand? I don't know how he obtained his gun, but I would also like to see some laws that would prosecute parents who are maybe not responsible with their weapon. Maybe they leave it laying around. Maybe they give their kids easy access to the weapon. I don't think that that's too much. I don't think that you're encroaching on Second Amendment rights among law-abiding citizens by wanting to strengthen gun laws to ensure that lunatics don't get access to them. But we're not gonna do that. Let's just keep it real. We're not gonna do that. So maybe 2 days from now, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Soon though, let me be honest, soon you will 100% hear about another mass shooting. And you'll hope that it doesn't come to your neighborhood, that it doesn't come to the Walmart, where you live. But it will eventually, because we're swimming in guns. There was an assault with a deadly weapon just a few feet away from where I live yesterday. I was at work, so I wasn't home when I got the alert about it. But yeah, some guy at Whole Foods takes his gun out. And decides that he wants to assault someone and threaten someone with that gun. It's all around us. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter how protected you think you are. It doesn't matter how aware or observant you are. It could happen to anyone. And the fact that we just allow it to keep happening over and over again because we have a political system that's so incredibly broken just infuriates me beyond words. If you have gun laws, you should enforce the gun laws. And if there are certain areas where new gun laws are necessary, we should fight to get those gun laws passed. Period. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep dealing with this issue. And look, I actually see gun violence as a much more complex issue than I think most people realize. Because when it comes to something like, let's say, homelessness in Los Angeles, that is a complex problem. There is no one size fits all solution to it. And with gun control, with gun violence in this country, I should say, simply passing legislation isn't enough. We absolutely do need mental health care in this country. I think there is a huge problem with how atomized we are, how detached we are from one another, how alienated young men in particularly feel. And these are all issues that we need to come at in a robust, comprehensive way if we are genuine about doing something substantive about gun violence. Otherwise, we're gonna keep hearing about these stories over and over again. We're gonna keep hearing about innocent people being gunned down by lunatics. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next story. This show and this job really does take a toll on you because it's just nothing makes sense. Everyone is so concerned with their personal brand. Everyone's so concerned with outpeering one another in their respective political group that they say garbage that doesn't make any sense. And it's frustrating, it really is. There's no room for nuance. There's no room for common sense. Because hey, I got to market myself as the most left or the most right, the most this, the most that. And you know what that leads to? Nothing substantive. It might lead to positive brand building for the players in the game, but that's it. Everyone else loses out, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.